Hello everybody and welcome back to another review. This is one I was asked by a couple people to do and I'm more than happy to oblige because this is not a book I would have thought most people would have wanted me to review, and I'm still unsure I'm even reviewing it correctly, but whatever the case. That book is The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. This is his most recent release. It came out, about a week or two ago? So pretty much everybody who knows me was very aware that I was extremely excited for this book and that, you know, once I had it in my hands I was going to read it all the way through and that was going to be it. It was like, don't talk to me, I'm reading. I finished it and I remember the first question I got asked about this book when I finished was, so was it as good as Cloud Atlas? I hate that question. I really do, and it was a question I was sort of anticipating, but I still really hate that question. Cloud Atlas and The Bone Clocks aren't in any form of series, they're both standalones. The Bone Clocks is nothing like Cloud Atlas. It's not trying to tell the same story, it's not trying to accomplish the same thing. So with that in mind, why would I judge The Bone Clocks against Cloud Atlas? Why would I judge them on the same scale? It doesn't make any sense to my mind. And honestly, yes, Cloud Atlas, for now at least, will always be my favorite David Mitchell novel. But I'm not going to judge The Bone Clocks against Cloud Atlas because they're not the same thing. So to that question, is The Bone Clocks better than Cloud Atlas? No, it's not better than Cloud Atlas. But it's not worse than Cloud Atlas either. The Bone Clocks is, and ever shall be, wholly itself. So like I said, this is a really tough book for me to try and review, so I'm not really gonna talk about the plot, because if I tried, this review would be really, really long, really convoluted, and spoilers everywhere. Spoilers everywhere. I'm gonna read the blurb from the publisher. That'll pretty much sum everything up. In 1984, teenager Holly Sykes runs away from home, Gravesend pub. 60 years later, she is to be found in the far west of Ireland, raising a granddaughter as the world's climate collapses. In between, Holly is encountered as a barmaid in a Swiss resort by an undergraduate sociopath in 1991, has a child with a foreign correspondent covering the Iraq War in 2003, and widowed becomes the confidant of a self-obsessed author of fading powers and reputation during the present decade. Yet these changing persona are only part of the story, as Holly's life is repeatedly intersected by a slow-motion war between a cult of predatory soul decanters and a band of vigilantes led by one Dr. Marinus. Holly begins as an unwitting pawn in this war and may prove to be its decisive weapon. That is technically the plot of The Bone Clocks. That's the story that's being told. But it's not necessarily what the book is about, if that makes any sense. That for me pretty much sums up a David Mitchell novel, in that yes, there is a plot and there is a story, but the plot and the story are not necessarily what the book is about. It's not the point of the book. Haruki Murakami is the same way. His books aren't necessarily about the plot or the story. It's about philosophical and emotional and like metaphysical questions and ideas that arise from reading the book. So yes, this is a quasi-paranormal tale of a girl who can somehow manipulate herself through time. If I had to pitch the plot to someone, that'd be it. In this case, The Bone Clocks, kind of like a lot of David Mitchell's other novels, touches on musings of life, love, loneliness, and as always, how we humans affect one another. The intricacy and the beauty of the plot is just pure art, and for me it was just everything I could wish from a David Mitchell novel. But if I were really pitching the book to them, I'd say it's a book that makes you think, and it's a book that makes you feel, by using that very element of its own plot. He really has, for me, distinguished himself as one of the best and most original authors of the 21st century. You know, a literary force of just such supreme talent and insight into the human condition that I think not having experienced a David Mitchell novel means you're cheating yourself. You should all go and read some form of a David Mitchell novel, whether or not you're reading The Bone Clocks. And I do highly recommend The Bone Clocks for people who aren't quite used to David Mitchell yet, because it's a good way to dive into David Mitchell. It gives you the multiple timelines and storylines and the large diverse cast of characters, and it gives you all of that philosophy and emotion and just like feels. I gave The Bone Clocks like 4.5, 4.75 stars out of 5, and I was really glad that I got it. It didn't let me down, totally lived up to my expectations. Just a great David Mitchell novel. But that's all from me today, you guys, and so until next time, Cheers.